Good day to all of you out there in TV land, and welcome to our program. This is Lighting Your Way, coming to you from the Covenant Moravian Church at 127 Malines Road, Kingston 20. It is always a joy and a pleasure having all of you join our program. We look forward to a great day of rejoicing and celebration in this the year of Jamaica's Jubilee. And stay tuned for today's presentation.
Where there seems to be no way, He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my guide, hold me closely to His side. With love and strength for each new day, He will make a way. He will make a way. Let's sing it one more. A declaration. Oh, God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. My God, hold me closely to His side. With love and strength for each new day, He will make a way. He will make a way. With love and strength. With love and strength for each new day, He will make a way. He will make a way.
In this year, the 50th year of our political independence, we are celebrating the year of Jubilee. It is important to recognize that while we talk about the Jubilee, that it is not a political term. It is not a sociological term either. It is a spiritual term, for the concept of the Jubilee finds its root, finds its genesis, finds its beginning in the Holy Scriptures. Read today from Leviticus in chapter 25. That's where we're going today, to reckon with how do we come to terms and what is the summoning from the word of the Lord around this concept of the Jubilee. So the text says that at the 49th year, in the 49th year, at the threshold of the 50th year, the people were to blow the trumpet and consecrate the 50th year, proclaim liberty and freedom throughout the land, for it is the year of the Jubilee. So in the first instance, the text invites us to recognize that in the year of Jubilee, it is a time to blow the trumpet. That's what the literal meaning of Jubilee means, to blow the trumpet. But what was this blowing the trumpet to symbolize? It is the year of liberty. It is the year of freedom. And this is what we celebrate. And in Jamaica, our emancipation and independence are very closely connected to one another. So it is to proclaim the year of freedom. But this freedom in the text of Leviticus 25 is not a freedom concentrated around physical freedom from slavery. That's there because the Israelites knew very well about that kind of freedom, having been sent into exile in Egypt and having come out of the exile, that they too understood this physical freedom, but it was meant to be something bigger than that. It is to be what I call a relational freedom. It is freedom for ourselves and freedom for others in relation to how we exist and live among one another. We carry around with us some semblance of enslavement of ourselves and enslavement of others. We carry on with us some past hurt, some past pain, some past struggle, some unforgiveness that we wrestle with. Somebody has done us something for which we can't get over. And in the year of Jubilee, as we blow the trumpet, signaling the year of liberty and freedom, the text says, it becomes the opportunity to free ourselves and to free others of some past things. Some of us have been carrying around some things for a little while, carrying around some things for a long time, something bottled up, some anger, some malice, some crazy things going on inside of us. And in the year of Jubilee, we must free ourselves of these past hurt and pain. Free ourselves of the pain of hate and malice. Free ourselves of the past things that people have done to us that we can't get over. In the year of Jubilee is a year of freedom. And I call it some relational freedom. That we have to get past our past. And as it were, the year of Jubilee is a summoning to wipe the slate clean and begin anew. To wipe the slate clean and begin afresh. To wipe the slate clean and begin on a plain new white sheet of paper. This is the year of Jubilee. Jamaica is plagued by so much violence, and you and I know that the symptom, that the violence is but a symptom of more serious things taking place within people. No longer do many people say, boy, you've done me something, I forgive and I move on. Boy, you do me something that we don't like, but that's life. Let's get on with life. That more and more people are developing such hatred for one another. You tell me something, and I must tell you back something hotter. You do me something, I must do you something worse. That's a society that we exist in, and that is becoming more cruel and more hostile towards one another. In the year of Jubilee, which is a proclamation of a year of freedom, is the opportunity God's word says to wipe those things away, to erase those as if they never existed, and begin anew. I must have told you that at a church I pastored, and since I pastored many, I can talk about churches. I must have told you already, there were two members in my church who would talk. Elders on my board who would talk. But when I asked them why you won't talk, they said, me here say sister and so said something about me. Me here say, but here say. Is this here said it? But in the year of Jubilee, the proclamation of the year of freedom, we must free ourselves and free others. Because sometimes we think, when people have done us wrong, we have a hold over, we have something over them. We have a hold over them. No. We don't understand that when we have these things against people, we enslave ourselves. We put ourselves in bondage. But in the year of Jubilee, it is time to return home. This returning home, returning to our home now, returning to our family, takes itself at different levels. For the first instance, it is really a call to go back home. To reconnect with some we have left behind for a long time. To return home, to restore some relationships that have been left broken. To return home is to relocate some family members that we don't know where they are. Hello? Am I talking truth in this church today? It's to return home, to return to our hometown, to our families, to reconnect with our beginning, to reconnect with our roots, to reconnect with our families and our relatives that we have longed to see. Some people have burned some bridges that they have to rebuild. That they have to return home. Not to live in them, but to reconnect with some families, to reconnect with some relatives, to restore some broken relationships. Some of us have some mothers and some fathers, some cousins and some sisters whose relationships are not at where they ought to be. The text says we must return home and restore and reconcile and make right. We don't hear no amen, but that's how you But it's also an opportunity to return to our roots. And by roots in this case, I mean returning to those values, those principles, those morals that we learned when we were growing up. So not only going back home to drive home to see what we want in our country. We have our country today, tomorrow. It's a symbolic move. It's a return to our roots. Those things that have been inculcated and instilled in us when we were growing up, we must return to those. Some of us have left those behind. Not only that, and by leaving behind, I also mean that we have not passed those on to this generation of children, to this generation of young people who must learn some basic values and attitudes, some basic behavior and manners and respect. Can I tell you that is where Jamaica has gone wrong? In the year of Jubilee, that's where we have gone wrong. Some basic principles from which this nation was built on have not been successfully transmitted to this generation. And we get up and we blame our young people, and we blame our children, and we cuss them out. They don't have any manners, they don't have behavior. Have we passed on that which we have learned to them? I was telling some young people at Trinity at the Skill Center the other day, I had to sit down and talk to them that it's not only about your academic pursuits. It's not only about your intellect and your academic claims. Because I learned when I was growing up, and I still believe it today, that manners will take you to the world. That's what my grandmother taught me. You must learn good manners. I was saying to young people the other evening at Bible study, at Bible study with them last week Friday, that when I came to Kingston, I looked like an old country boy. Because everybody I passed, I tell them good morning. Good morning, how are you? Good morning. And they passed like me over space. I walk into a store and I see the cashier and I say, good morning, good afternoon, how are you? I drive to the toll booth and I say, good morning, how are you? And they look at me and say, I want that way to come from. Huh? I don't know, but I can't get over that. I don't know. I mean, no matter how long I live in this place called Kingston, I can't get over that. Because when I was growing up, I learned you must practice good manners wherever you go. So wherever I go, I make sure I practice good manners. So that my grandmother taught me. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Excuse me. Thank you. Hello? I'm not going to preach coming to you. Those kinds of things. You see me look decent and proper today? A good, decent pastor. I recall my grandmother had some difficulties with me. It was not all easy growing up with her. But no matter what I claimed I wanted to do or what I could do and conceive I wanted to do. So as long as I was under her roof, I was under her manners. And she said to me one day, two boats carry no one bed. So whenever you become a boat, you have to leave this house. You can't abide here because I'm the only bull in this house. And I reign here. I used to rebel about going to church, don't know pastor's name. I love to go to church, Lord, Jesus, pastor, preach you, Lord. And the guy was right from that day, almost like preach, Lord. And I complained about all kinds of things. But I love to go to school. All kinds of things. But you either go or you go. That's the only choice you have. Go or go. There was no other way out of it. I know I see children talking about they don't want to go to church. I don't feel like going to church today. And then stay home watch TV. And then my grandmother was in mad. The point of making friends is that our text invites us to return home, to return to our roots, to return to our beginning. We have to recapture these basic values and norms and attitudes that are so critical to our existence, to origin. Sometimes I pass and hear people are talking and I think they're not worried. The other day I passed two men talking. I thought we were going to fight. Bad word to each other. I thought, what happened? Hello? What? Bad word, boy. What? Hello? You don't hear that? Oh, no, you got to walk the streets and you go talk. That we become so coarse that even in our greed and in our casual conversation, violence and anger is just spewing out in our casual conversation. You step on a man too and they cuss you. Where has the rich values that were once in Jamaica gone? And I put it to you, that the reason it doesn't exist as how it used to is because we have not passed it on. and instilled and inculcated those in the generations that are before us. And we have failed. And the year of Jubilee invites us to return to the roots of our beginning, to return to the rich values and morals that we learned when we were growing up and pass those on to generations. The year of Jubilee, friends, is also a year of rest and reflection. For it says, you must not plant or sow, rather sow nor reap in the year of the Jubilee. And when they ask how we're going to eat, God says, I will multiply your produce and make your fields blossom so that you will have enough to eat in the year of Jubilee and after the year of the Jubilee. So it's an opportunity for rest and reflection. Too many of us are too busy. Hello? Too many of us are too busy working on God's body like it's a machine. Too many of us are too busy that we can't find time for reflection. In the year of Jubilee is a year of pause. Pause. Slow down. Take stock. Gather yourselves together. A reflection on where we're coming from, where we are today, so we can properly vision for where we go tomorrow. So as long as we are always on the go, we will not find time for careful reflection. We need time to pause, to reflect on where we are and where we need to go. How much are we raising our children properly? How much are we committed to building a better Jamaica? How much are we contributing to this nation's development? How much are we building our families? How much? The time of reflection allows us the opportunity to reflect on where we are and where we need to go, what we need to improve on, and what we need to cut off. But in the year of the Jubilee, is also a year of honesty and equity. Over and over in this text, you hear God saying, you must not cheat one another, and you must not take advantage of each other. Hello? In the year of the Jubilee, it's a year of honesty, a year of equity, a year when we care for one another. I wish I had some bank people here, some bank managers, to talk about the year of Jubilee and its implication for those who own and operate banks. The implication for those who own and operate telecommunication companies. The year when call to the business world to reflect upon what the year of Jubilee summons us to. That we must be honest in our dealings with one another. We must not charge people more than they ought to, more than we ought to. We must not take advantage of each other. So I wish I had some people here from Scotiabank and NCB, for example, who claim that if you have less than $5,000 in your account, they begin to draw your money. Who have less than $5,000 in their account? The poor! They must hear the message of the Jubilee. You must not cheat one another and take advantage of the poor. But it has been televised, so they will hear it. In the year of the Jubilee, we must be honest in our dealings with one another and treat each other fairly. That's the sermon about the year of Jubilee. you know, it's not only honesty. But let me say this before I get to the point. One of the honest ways in which we must operate in the year of the Jubilee and beyond is that we must not incur debt that we cannot pay. Amen. We must not borrow money we can't repay. That's dishonest living. That's one of the principles of the Moravian Church, by the way. Read again the London Catechism. The Declarations and Rules of the Moravian Church says, I will not engage in willful debt that I cannot repay. So all those who have loans that they can't take over, they can't pay back. In the year of Jubilee is a time for honest dealings with people. So when they borrow money, must pay back. That is why I only lend money I can afford to lose. Now tell you straight up. I only lend money I can afford to lose. But you know, in the year of the Jubilee, he's also called about being honest in our conversations, in how we talk with one another, how we talk about one another, how we talk behind one another. Hello? Yeah. No, we're not getting on that. Yeah. But it's about honesty in our conversations. So hear this now. We hear something about somebody. Tell them what hears it. We hear something about somebody. When I was growing up, I don't know if the students play this game, but when I was growing up a little bit small, I was playing this game called Pass the News Around. And like me now, whisper to Sister Paula Brown, Powell, something. And she will whisper it to everybody until they catch my phone to me. Is when they catch my phone answer? A totally different rules than we hear. Because we hear, sometimes we don't hear properly, but sometimes we hear, we reflect upon what we hear and say what we think we hear. One another. We hear something, but the news is not as spicy as we want it to be. So we spice it up to pass it on. Mrs. Me hears that. And we exaggerate, and we add on or subtract. You know, do this course, and I must have said it here. Do this course, and we're talking about the same thing about news and how pastors manage news. And I can't remember what lecture to do. He says, anytime, and I give it to you, I offer it to you for your reflection. Anytime anybody brings any news to you about anybody else, before they start, you ask them, whatever you are telling me, can you tell the person? If you can't tell the person what you are telling me, then don't tell them. Because in the year of Jubilee, where we blow the trumpet, we are going to be honest in our dealings with one another. Honest in our business, honest in our exchange, honest in our conversations. We are going to treat each other fairly, pretending. Say it in a real way now. Can I close now? In a real way now. The year of Jubilee is about relationships. Hello? Yes. The year of Jubilee is about relationships. It's about how we relate with one another, how we relate to one another. So whether it is about freedom, or it's about family, or it's about returning home, or it's about rest and reflection, or it's about honesty and equity, it's all about relationships. How we relate one with the other in a caring, compassionate, and honest way. Don't pass by on the other side. Like the Levite and the priest. Don't be too so heavenly minded that we are no earthly good. Let's get real. Let's get practical. Let's not pass by the sick man on the other side and pretend like the person does not exist. Let's not talk about people as if they're not human beings with a heart and soul like everybody else. Let's live and build solid relationships with one another. Let's live among each other like brothers and sisters in Christ, giving glory and honor to the Lord. Amen.
Friends, it was really a joy having you join our program today, Lighting Your Way. We trust it was inspiring for you, and that in this, the year of Jamaica's Jubilee celebrations, that it may serve as a springboard for us to reflect upon where we are and where we ought to go, and who we are as a people of this beloved nation, Jamaica land we love, and how we must contribute to its continued development. We look forward to hearing from you during the course of this week. Continue to write to us at Covenant Moravian Church, 127 Malines Road, Kingston 20. Call us at 905-0105 or email us at covenant225@hotmail.com. God bless you.